Hi, Marcella. Good evening, everybody. I think I'm a minute early, but it's nice to see people commenting already. I'm glad that I'm on the air. The title for this week's Tea with the Druid is Diverse Landscape, Diverse Nationalities, and What Connects Us. I'll just wait now for a few more people to join. So I'll say Bongia Yves Golair, hello, and Tranona Wahagwiv, good evening from Kilkenny in Ireland. Fáilte Golair, so welcome everybody. I think we're 8 o'clock now. I can go to this week's Tea with the Druid. So my name is Eimear Burke. I am a Druid and the chosen chief elect of Obod. And in Irish that means An Tánaiste. And the Irish for the chosen chief is An Taoiseach Tufa. And that's a great source of amusement for my Druid colleagues here in Ireland, because An Taoiseach is also the title given to our Prime Minister. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are just coming out of Samhain, and Samhain is the Irish word for November. So our Samhain lasts a whole month. And we're now moving towards Green Stad an Gira, the winter solstice, or Alba Norton. So please forgive my Northern Hemispherishness, because I'm perfectly aware that our fellow Druids in the Southern Hemisphere have been celebrating Bealtaine and are now heading towards the summer solstice. And this really reflects the globality of the order. Obod really is a global order. We have over 20,000 members from all 5 continents. And I occasionally get emails from people expressing an interest in Druidry, but wondering if they can be Druids because they don't come from a Celtic land or aren't of Celtic origin. And this I find interesting, because for me, Druidry is a nature-based spiritual path. And although Druidry may have its origins in the land of the Celts, nature is everywhere. So therefore, surely the practice of Druidry has a relevance regardless of where one lives in the world and where one comes from originally. So I see somebody from the Netherlands, Andre, Glada from Abruzzo, ciao. Hi, Chris, all the way from Australia. Good to see you all. Anyway, so I've been teaching on teaching a course on human development for the past 25 years, both in Ireland and Tanzania. And on this course, I look at human development, both from a modern perspective and an Indigenous perspective. And the modern perspective is that of Carl Rogers, who states that we can achieve our potential if we experience a relationship with somebody who understands us from our own point of view, who can accept us without judgment, and who is genuine. Now, the Indigenous perspective is what I'm interested in discussing tonight. I'm taking it from a healer from Burkina Faso called Malidoma Samay. He states that each one of us is born with a life purpose, but that purpose can only be achieved through a close and harmonious relationship with nature, through connection with the ancestors in the other world, through a supportive community, and through the use of rituals and rites of passage. And of course, these have a resonance for us as Druids. Hi, Michael from Louisville, Athena Gray from Massachusetts, Isalinda from Portugal. You're very, very welcome. So Indigenous peoples all over the world have a common worldview that places a special significance on the relationship between humans and that of the landscape and the natural world. And of course, we also hold this worldview as Druids. And I've been thinking about the diversity of backgrounds and nationalities among the membership of Obod, and where and how our Druidry connects us all, and what this means. And given the diversity of members in Obod, we may not be able to consider ourselves as Indigenous in the narrow sense of the word. And indigenous means born or originating in a particular place, coming from the Latin word indigena, meaning sprung from the land, or an older Latin root, indu or endo, meaning within, or even the Greek endina, meaning entrails. And although we may not be indigenous, the roots of our language show us that our ancestors really, really appreciated and understood the importance of a deep connection with the land. And they understood also that we can be so identified with a place that is deep within us, deep within our entrails, or deep within our souls. And I think many of us can identify with having such a feeling when in a place, even if it's not of our culture or our heritage. For example, when we visit a sacred site. And of course, different places have different experiences and different connections to us. And I'm just interested on hearing some, or not hearing, but reading your comments on this, the reactions to what I'm saying. I love the land, but rather the land lives in us. And I think that Druids can relate to this idea and of the feeling that a place can be part of one's soul. So when we have that deep connection with a place, there's a match between our inner realities and our outer realities. And some of us are fortunate enough to be able to live in a place in nature where we can really, really embed ourselves in the landscape and where we belong to the land rather than the land belonging to us. I'm just seeing a few more people. Jessie from the US, Rue from the US, Jemasina from Staffordshire. You're all very welcome. Hi, Penny. Great to see you all. You're very, very welcome again. So we're also aware of how the landscape or the climate can influence our physical makeup and our psyche. So we know the mountain people are different to forest people, different to island people. And there's a sense that people make a place just as much as a place makes them. So there's that sense of a co-creation between people and their landscape. And while we all live in a modern world, we as Druids have, as we say, we know an earth-based spiritual path, which is akin to our ancestors and indigenous peoples around the world. And although the colors and textures may be different, the principles are the same. And all of our ancestors came from an earth-based culture. Hello, Ellie. Hello, Jennifer from Massachusetts. And somebody from Belfast, Richard. Hi, you're very welcome. So the modern world generally is far removed from such a worldview. However, there's a growing shift towards an earth-based worldview. Again, as scientists and psychologists and philosophers are recognizing the importance of such a worldview as being crucial to the survival of the planet. And according to Joanna Macy and others, the next revolution in human consciousness will involve new ways to live sustainably, a return to ancient spiritual nature-based traditions, and returned to an awareness and an understanding that all living beings are interdependent and interconnected. And as Druids, we already know this. We are aware of this interconnectedness, and it's important for the earth and our beings. I'm going to have some tea. So I recently came across the concept of the metaphoric mind or nature mind from a writer, Gregory Cajete, who's an Native American ecologist. And the metaphoric or the nature mind is our oldest mind, dating back to 70,000 years ago. This is a pre-verbal mind in that it was there before language developed among humans. And even today, we are born with our nature mind. And as children, we develop our language skills, and with that, our rational mind. At which point our nature mind begins to recede into our subconscious. And then as our rational mind develops, so does literacy. And then our nature mind becomes differentiated from our rational mind. However, the nature mind maintains an important role in children, and you can see it emerging in creative play or imaginative play or in dreams. And for adults, the good news is that we can access our nature mind through spiritual experiences or creative experiences, and particularly when in nature. And where in the modern world the emphasis is on the rational mind, among Indigenous peoples, the rational mind and the nature mind are given equal importance. And the nature mind, with its intuitions, its perceptions, its physical senses, its creativity, this can be expressed through art and dance and music and myths and stories. And this is how we as Druids access our Awen, or our Imas, as we say here in Ireland. Hi, Briannon from France, Richard from Devon. Hi, Sean Hayes, not our American Sean Hayes, a different one from the US, and Kevin from Canada. Welcome. It's good to see so many people here. So where was I? According to Matessa Bennett, an Indigenous thinker, the only viable means to acquire wisdom and knowledge is through connection with the natural world, through feeling and experiencing communal relationships, through artistic and mythical dimensions, ritual and ceremony, sacred ecology, psychological and spiritual orientation. And for her, the disconnection from the natural world only results in soul loss and alienation. And of course, we as Druids understand this. And she also speaks of our real participation in the natural world as being connected to the environment and the earth through the power of breath. And I love this. She says, for Indigenous peoples, the breath represents the most tangible expression of spirit in all living beings. Breath is an act of prayer. And through each breath, we take in the sacredness of the place where we are and give our breath back to the world. And there's a lovely expression or a notion she speaks of, which is the notion of breath as that when we breathe, we are breathing the dust of the bones of our ancestors. I mean, what an amazing image. And she explains the importance of connection to the earth and the landscape through the breath. And the breath is what connects us to the power and sacredness of a place. And while she's talking of Indigenous peoples, I think she's also speaking to us as Druids. I had a conversation with some Druids colleagues recently about these ideas and the notion of prayer. And there was some resistance to the use of prayer due to its connotation of begging for, or it's coming from a place of lack. And I wasn't willing to give up on the idea of prayer. However, because for me, a useful way to look at prayer is not as a means for asking for something, for example, praying for fine weather when you want to hold a ritual, rather as a prayer in thanks for the fine day that will be here for the ritual. And this comes from the notion of the earth, that the earth will provide us with what we need. So our compromise in our discussion was, breath is the prayer of the nature mind. And of course, as Druids, we begin our ceremonies and rituals with taking 3 breaths, connecting with earth, sky, and sea. And we often begin our meditations with awareness and focus on our breath and on our body. And then we can let go of this awareness at times and travel to our inner grove, the other world, and the world of nature, etc. Hi, Christopher from Belgium, Vicky from Cornwall, Cindy from Guildford. Love to talk about access and really connected to mine, thanks to Druid, which my Irish, that's Kenneth Mulligan. It's a good Irish name. Hi, Kenneth. So, Keys greeting from Holland, Zabo, Ellie. First year anniversary to tea with Philip, okay. Or to tea with Philip, brilliant. So let us begin our meditation. So I invite you now to find a comfortable sitting position, and when you're ready, somebody has lost me. Have other people lost me? Just let me know. Somebody could text me. Anyone who has my number, text me if people are still seeing me. There's still comments coming, so I think you're with me. Hello, Ricky. I'm just wondering. Okay, I think people are still with me. Okay, so just find a comfortable sitting position, and when you're ready, just close your eyes. Okay, so just become aware of your breath. Breathing and breathing out. Following your in-breath as it enters your body, and following your out-breath as it leaves your body. Remember, with every in-breath, there are possibilities, and with every out-breath, there's a letting go. Breathing in and breathing out. And now I'd like you to imagine that you're in your sacred grove. Using your 5 senses to connect with your grove. Be aware of all that you can see. Be aware of all that you can hear. Be aware of all that you can touch. Be aware of all that you can smell. All that you can taste. And now become aware of the forest around your grove. And you notice a gateway from your grove leading you into a forest. And you follow the path through the forest until it leads you to a landscape that speaks to your soul. And you step into this landscape and notice all there is to be experienced there. Breathe with the landscape. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathe with the genius loci, the spirit of this place. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathe in the sacredness of this place. Share your breath with the place. Breathing in and breathing out. This is soul food, filling every cell of your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Allow the landscape to speak to you. Breathing in and breathing out. And now it is time to leave this sacred landscape. You give thanks to the genius loci, to the landscape for all that you have received. You look around your sacred landscape one more time, knowing that you can return there whenever you wish. And you begin to walk towards the forest and follow the path back to your sacred grove. And you're now back in your grove, holding all that you've received in your heart and your soul. And you allow your awareness of your grove to fade. Become more aware of your physical body sitting in your chair. Back fully alert, you know, fully here and now in your space. And taking a deep breath, open your eyes. So I'm curious about the landscapes that spoke to you. And after the session, I'll read your comments. And just like to thank you all for being here. I'm just, there's some comment, I'm going to wait till it comes up fully and I can read it. Those of us still tied to the earth and water and sky through our work every day are still aware of the absolute necessity of the nature mind. Lovely, Rebecca. It's wonderful. This is Wendy from Vancouver. It's wonderful to hear such a positive message. Great. So I may see some of you at the winter gathering next weekend in Glastonbury, and I imagine Philip will be back here next Monday. And I will leave you with a quotation from Prentice Bloydell. nature can live without man or woman, but man cannot live without nature. I just see another one. The Native American name for the Great Spirit is the Master of all breath. Beautiful, lovely. Thank you. Everything is interdependent on everything else, Ellie. Great. And something from Pat Booker, and the word spirit and breath from the same Latin root. Yes, inspiration and respiration. Beautiful. Okay. So I will sign out for now, and I will read your comments and I'll reply to them. So thank you all for being here. And as we say in Ireland, slán go fóill.